Have you ever looked up at a massive new skyscraper or driven on a brand new highway and just wondered, how did that get built? Who actually gets to do that work? Well, the answer usually involves a super competitive process called a tender. And in this explainer, we're going to take you on that exact journey, right from the contractor's point of view, from spotting the opportunity to hopefully winning that contract.
So you want to be the one building that next big thing? It doesn't matter if it's a government project or for a private company, the path to winning that contract follows a very specific set of rules. Honestly, understanding that rulebook is the single most important step. So let's open it up to page 1.
All right, so every big journey starts with that first step, right? For a contractor, that step is finding the right opportunity in the first place. This whole first phase is really all about the hunt, knowing where to look, what you're looking for, and deciding if a project is actually a good fit for you.
Think of this initial phase like a funnel. It starts out really wide with a public tender notice. That's your first signal that a job even exists. If it looks interesting, you narrow things down by collecting all the documents to get the real details. Then your team does a deep dive, a proper study to see if you're a match. And it all leads to the most important reality check, the site visit.
So yeah, it all kicks off with that tender notice, which you'll find in newspapers or more commonly these days, online. This notice is basically your first filter. It gives you the big picture stuff, what the project is, where it is, the timeline, but the most important thing it gives you is the eligibility criteria. If you don't meet those basic requirements, you can't even play the game.
Okay, so let's say the notice looks good and you're eligible. Your next move is to get the official tender documents. And this packet of info? It's the complete rulebook for this entire bid. It's got all the instructions, the contract conditions, the technical drawings, and the one document your whole bid is built on, the bill of quantities.
And let's just pause on that term for a second, because it is absolutely vital. The BOQ, the bill of quantities, it's a super detailed, itemized list of every single thing needed for the project. We're talking cubic meters of concrete, number of light fixtures, square feet of paint, everything. This document is the absolute foundation of your entire financial proposal.
So with those documents in hand, your team launches its own investigation. And this is 100% a team effort. You've got your quantity surveyors, your engineers, your planners. All of them need to go through every single page with a fine-tooth comb. They're hunting for anything unusual, any hidden risks or costs that might be buried in the fine print.
You know, paperwork can only tell you so much. The last step in this whole search phase is a mandatory site visit. You have to get your boots on the ground and see the reality for yourself. What's the road access like? What kind of soil are you dealing with? Are there power lines or other obstacles the drawings don't show? This visit can literally make or break your entire bid. So, you've done your homework, you've seen the site, and you've decided, okay, we're going for it. Now the fun really begins. This is the most intense part of the whole process, actually building your bid. This is where you crunch the numbers and create the proposal that's going to convince the client you're the only one for the job. And this process is just a masterclass in paying attention to detail. It starts with verifying every single quantity, that's called a takeoff. Then you do a rate analysis to figure out the price for each item. You compile all of that into a final cost buildup. And only then, once all that is done, can you put together your two final documents, the technical proposal to prove you can do the work, and the financial proposal, which is your final price.
Right, so the very first thing your quantity surveying team, or QS team, does is something called a takeoff. What that means is they meticulously go through the client's BOQ and check every single quantity against the technical drawings. They're looking for any mistakes, any differences, or anything that's been missed that could totally throw off your costs.
Now we get to the real heart of your pricing, the rate analysis. For every single item in that BOQ, like, say, concrete work, you have to build a unit rate from the ground up. That means you're calling suppliers for the latest material prices, you're calculating your labor costs, you're putting it all together. If you get this wrong, your whole bid is built on a shaky foundation. This is where real industry experience is key.
So here's a crucial point. Your final price isn't just adding up all those unit rates. You take that total direct cost, and then you have to add two more things. Your company's overheads, things like office rent, staff salaries, and of course, your profit margin. This simple little formula is what determines if you win the job and if you actually make money on it.
But listen, winning isn't just about being the cheapest. You have to prove you're the most capable. That's the whole point of the technical proposal. It's not just a stack of papers, it's you telling your story. You use your company profile and past projects to show you're credible. You use your staff CVs and your proposed methodology to prove you have a rock-solid plan for this specific project.
And the other half of your submission? That's the financial proposal. At its core, it's really simple. It's just that bill of quantities we talked about earlier, but now it's all filled out with your rates and your final price. And crucially, it has to be officially signed and stamped because that's what makes it a formal, legally binding offer.
You've done the hard work, you've crunched all the numbers, you've written the proposals. Now comes the really nail-biting part, the final checks. This phase is all about precision, making absolutely sure that one tiny little mistake doesn't undo weeks of effort.
So this last stage is all about crossing your T's and dotting your I's. It starts with a final internal review where the bosses give the final okay. Then you have to get a tender bond, which is like a financial guarantee for the client. After that comes the physical compilation, getting everything printed, signed, and put in the right envelopes. And it all leads up to that final do-or-die moment, submission.
Before anything, and I mean anything, goes out the door, it has to go through a serious internal review. Senior management, they're going to double-check your whole strategy, your pricing, your technical solution. On a big project, it's pretty common for the CEO to need to give the final personal approval on the price.
Next up, you need to arrange a tender bond, which is sometimes called bid security. Think of it like a security deposit. It's a guarantee, usually from a bank, that proves your bid is serious, and you're not just wasting their time. It's typically a percentage of your total bid price, somewhere between 2 and 5%.
Okay, now this is a detail where so many bidders mess up, so listen close. The client's instructions will almost always tell you to seal your technical and your financial proposals into completely separate envelopes. Why? So they can evaluate your technical skills first without being biased by your price. If you mix them up, you could get disqualified instantly.
And finally, submission day. It doesn't matter if it's a physical tender box or an online portal, there is one unbreakable rule. You have to submit before the exact date and time of the deadline. There are no extensions, no excuses. If you are 1 minute late, your bid is rejected. Period. All that hard work, just gone.
Okay, your bid is in. You can finally breathe. The hard work is done, right? But what happens next? In this final section, let's flip the script and look at the process from the client's side, from the moment they open the bids to the moment a winner is finally chosen.
So how does this story end? Well, after the submission deadline passes, the client holds a public tender opening. Sometimes they'll even read the prices out loud. After that, the whole process goes behind closed doors for evaluation. This is where their team compares your technical plan against your price. And after all of that, for one lucky bidder, they issue the one thing everyone's been waiting for, the letter of acceptance, the LOA. That letter, that's the finish line.
So there you have it. We've walked through the entire process, from that first little notice all the way to the final letter of acceptance. It's a journey that demands detail, strategy, and a whole lot of precision. And now that we've broken it all down, there's really only one question left to ask you. Which tender will be your next one?